All right, hello, how's everybody doing today? I'm Jeremy Langwall coming to you from Houmas House Estate and Gardens. Hope everybody is doing well out there. It's Thursday, we're doing some cooking, and I am ready to get started. Like always, do me a favor, if you enjoy our videos, hit that share button and give us a like. Also, at any point, we love hearing from you, so if you have any questions of anything that we're doing or anything going on at Houmas House, feel free to give us a comment. Drop a comment in whatever platform you're on. We're checking these videos throughout the week, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. But with that said, we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. Now today I am making the classic dessert, creme brulee. You know, creme brulee, probably one of the most popular desserts out there. 9 times out of 10, actually, me and my wife always have this joke that we always know restaurants are going to have. We love creme brulee, and we're always like, well, let's just see if we might not be feeling dessert, but maybe we'll just get a creme brulee. Almost all restaurants have a creme brulee recipe, but it's really a fantastic recipe. And the reason, oftentimes when I decide what I'm going to cook for the week, I always love to think of dishes where I can talk about certain techniques of cooking. So you can take the idea of what I'm cooking, whether one week it might be pasta, or one week it might be jambalaya or gumbo, and then we take the fundamentals of what we're cooking, and I always try to highlight a technique. Like for example, if we're cooking gumbo, the technique is how you make your roux. Well, what's great about this creme brulee recipe is creme brulee is very versatile. So you can take it many different ways, but the fundamentals of making the creme brulee custard is the main thing that we're going to highlight. In fact, making this creme brulee recipe, there's only a couple ingredients. Normally I don't do this, I kind of talk as we go, but I wanted to go ahead and just show you. I think it's 5 things total. The first thing that we have in this pot, I'm heating up 2 cups of half and half. I also have some salt. I got some vanilla beans. You could also use vanilla extract. We'll talk about that in a second. Some egg yolks and some sugar. And that's it. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and get cooking. So the half and half, I got some half and half. I'm starting to warm it up, and I just want to scald it, or just, that's a fancy culinary term for saying get it hot and just have it to start to come up to a boil. I'm going to add a couple things to this half and half as it starts to heat. I have just a little bit of salt. Salt's going to go right in. The reason we add salt, oftentimes in mini bacon, whether it's bread or desserts, like this creme brulee, you'll notice that salt is often a common ingredient in the recipes. And that's just because salt, whether you're cooking savory or you're cooking sweet desserts, salt always enhances whatever you're cooking's flavor, gives the food an extra little pop, so it works perfect in this as well. Now what we want to do is add the vanilla. Now you can very easily substitute a tablespoon of vanilla extract, but if you can give fresh vanilla beans, wow, is that really going to elevate everything and just make it that much better? So let me show you just how we work with these. We get these dried vanilla beans. They come from a couple different places in the world, but we actually get Madagascar vanilla beans, great producers of vanilla beans. Let me just show you how to use this. Now these are very strong, and a little bit goes a long way, but the vanilla beans come as these dried pods, and what we want to do is we're just going to take a knife. I'll leave the top intact, but I'm just going to take this little paring knife and I'm going to split this down the middle, and boom, got it split down the middle. What that allows us to do is allows me to scrape the actual vanilla part of the beans, which almost looks like caviar. I get a little bit on this knife, and you know when you get vanilla bean ice cream, it's got those little black specks. Well, that's that fresh vanilla. Let's do the same thing on the other side. We're going to, boom, scrape some of the vanilla beans, and we're going to mix that in here. And I'm going to whisk that in so it gets incorporated throughout this cream. But then I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to put this whole vanilla bean into the mixture, and just like when we're making tea and you add your tea leaves to water and it steeps that tea flavor into it, same thing's happening here. That all this vanilla is going to perfume this mixture with all that mix. And we're just going to leave the flame on, and we're going to let it start to come up to a simmer. It's not going to take long at all. So while that's going, let's go ahead and get us a mixing bowl. And here, again, as I said, we're using egg yolks. So that's 5 egg yolks. They're going to go in. And then I'm going to add half a cup of sugar, and we're going to dump the sugar right in. You want to save some little sugar for the brulee on top, but we'll get to that later. But half a cup goes right in. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix these egg yolks and the sugar together and just kind of whisk it just for a second. What that's going to do is allow that sugar, we're kind of creaming these egg yolks, meaning the sugar is going to kind of be like this abrasiveness that's going to, as I whisk, which is going to cause the egg yolks to get nice and fluffy. Now just whip them for a second. That's going to let them get real nice and fluffy. Now Jesse, if you can just switch over to this camera just to let everybody see. As soon as I see my mixture come up to a little bubble like this, boom, I just killed the flame, and then I'm going to let this start to naturally come back down. This is a great point where I'm going to kind of just fish out that vanilla bean that we talked about. It's done its job. We're going to get that out of there, but we still have all those nice vanilla bean grains in there, which is perfect. So we're just going to get that out of there. And now this is where there's a couple techniques, and this is one of the main ones of making your creme brulee, and that's when we're going to temper our egg yolks. What does that mean? Well, I have a hot milk mixture and I have egg yolks here. If I were to dump all this hot mixture of eggs, or hot mixture of cream into these eggs, the heat from this mixture would actually start to cook these eggs and cause it to curdle. You literally get these lumps of cooked egg yolk into this mix. And if that were to happen, we just have to throw the whole thing away because we curdled our eggs. So what we have to do is temper it, meaning we need to get these egg yolks used to getting some heat added to it. So how we do that is very simple. We're going to take this and we're going to just add a little bit of that hot milk or half and half mixture into the eggs while constantly whisking, and just add it in a little bit at a time. As we start to add more, the egg yolks will actually adjust and get used to getting the heat, feeling the heat, and you can add a little bit more. But I always just like to be cautious, especially working with these small batches, and just slowly, we're just basically slowly whisking in this hot cream into these egg yolks. Little at a time. Just keep it going in, and that's going to be perfect. And then you'll notice as I got more, once I get to the halfway point, I can just start to pour a little bit faster and get it all in there. Again, you just don't want to dump all that hot milk mixture right into your eggs right away, because you can very easily risk curdling your egg yolks. Now, once we're at this point, man, look how simple this is. Let's go ahead and get this ready to go into the oven. I have me a dish that I can add some water to later. We'll come back to that, but you need something like this, and you're going to want to have some ramekins ready to go. We're going to place the ramekins into our baking dish, and then let's see if I can do this. You know, we're live here, so let's see if I can do this without spilling everything everywhere. Oh, look at this, y'all. Trained professional. It's like I do this for a living. But I've just poured this in here just to make life easier. You can use a ladle, use a spoon, pour it in. But I have my ramekins ready to go. Any size ramekin is great. Get creative. Oftentimes, some restaurants you see flatter ramekins. Sometimes you see taller ramekins. Whatever you have is perfect. Once we have the milk mixture ready, I'm just going to dump this custard right into our ramekins. This recipe makes 4. I'm going to get that in there. And now what we want to do is have an oven set to 350 degrees. So what I like to do actually is I will take, at this point, I will take this whole pan and I'll put it into that 350 degree oven. But we need to add a water bath to our pan. And that's the other second part of making creme brulee. If we were to just put this in blindly just like that, what would happen is the heat from the oven would cause this custard to souffle and get bubbles in it as it cooks, because the heat is too direct and it's too harsh for this milk mixture. So to prevent that from happening, you actually add a water bath. You can add the water bath in before, but that makes it tricky for transferring your pan. Now you're sloshing around this water in your custard, you're trying not to spill the whole thing. So what I suggest is open up your oven, pull out the rack, put this in here, come back with a pitcher of water, and now I'm going to add water and I'm going to fill up the pan about 3/4 of the way of the ramekins. Not all the way to the top of the ramekins, but just about 3/4 to the ramekin, and then we're ready to put it in the oven. From there, depending on what type of ramekin you use, you're going to bake it for about 20 minutes, or until you see that the custard's set. Now you'll be able to tell whenever you can look at it and kind of even poke the top and see that it's starting to firm up and there's no liquid coming out of it. Or you can take a toothpick, stick it in the middle. If it comes out clean, your custard's set. At this point, what you want to do is remove this from the oven, take your creme brulees out, and they have to chill all the way, usually a couple hours. If you can make them a day ahead of time, overnight is fantastic. These will hold up great in your refrigerator for several days. And that's exactly what we have here. Once they have chilled, the custard will set, and these are some that we made ahead of time. You can see, boom, nice nice and bouncy, and it has just that great, beautiful custard texture to it. And look, you even got all that beautiful vanilla bean in it. You know this is going to taste fantastic. Now we get to do the fun part, which is the brulee part. We got the creme, now let's do the brulee. That's where we're going to burn the sugar on top. A couple different methods. The method we use at the restaurant is we have us a handy dandy blowtorch. This is actually the one we use at the restaurant. And I would encourage you, if this is something you think you would do often at home, you could go to a little specialty store like Sonoma, or you can go online, and they literally sell creme brulee torches, which are these little mini blow torches. Oftentimes they come with little butane cartridges that you add into it. That's going to make your life easy. However, you can very easily at home sprinkle some sugar on top, and then once you go to the same oven you bake these in, turn on your broiler. And then what you do is you set these on a sheet tray with your sugar on top of it, and then you put them under the broiler for about a minute, and it's going to melt that sugar. But if you have a blowtorch, let's go ahead and show you how we're going to do it here. Let's do it right now. We'll do it live. I'm going to take some sugar, I'm going to sprinkle it right on top, and then what I'm going to do is just kind of push the sugar around where it is nice and evenly spread. And I'm actually going to even get rid of some of the excess. And now what you want to do, carefully, because we are playing with fire, but you know, the reason I became a chef is because I love playing with fire. But we're going to turn on this torch. Now, I would never let Jessie do this, you know, because that would be a disaster. I mean, she's always tripping on the cords behind the thing anyway. But here, we're going to do this together, y'all. What I like to do is you're just going to take that torch, and we're going to start to brown. I like to kind of just stay in one spot. And then what I do is I'm constantly rotating the ramekin in my hands. And this is how I do it in the restaurant. And what it's going to do is, as the sugar starts to melt, it's actually going to kind of come down, and it really kind of gets nice and even spread of that caramelized sugar on top. That's your creme brulee of your brulee. Now let me tell you, if this is something that you're wary about, you don't want to do this, that is absolutely no problem at all. Look, got that nice beautiful caramelization on it, but do be careful, y'all, because this is melted sugar. Sugar melts at like 300 degrees, so if a little of this were to drip on you, it's going to be a nasty burn, because sugar really takes a lot of heat to melt. So if you see that liquid sugar, that means it is very hot. But it's going to cool very quickly, and what we're looking for is to have that nice layer of sugar on it, so whenever we go to eat it, you get that. The best part of a creme brulee is when you got a nice crack on top of it. We'll see if we got that in a second. But let me just show you how we plate this up. And again, if this is still, the custard itself is fantastic. So if you're a little worried about having to mess with this extra element, you could still 100% make this dessert and not do it. It would be very similar to like a Spanish flan where you don't have it. We got the creme brulee on it. How we serve it in the restaurant, we like to have a little bit of whipped cream. So I got a little whipped cream. I put the whipped cream off to the side, but just a little touch. And then what's great, y'all, is we love going to the farmer's market, eating little fresh berries. I got some great raspberries here. We got some blueberries, which are coming into season. So I'm going to put a couple little blueberries on it. And there we have it, y'all. That is our creme brulee. Now let's give it the old test. Let's see if we get that nice crack on it. Look, watch this. See that? Look at that. You get that nice, beautiful kind of where the sugar just cracks. That is a perfect creme brulee. I'm leaving this one for my friend Jessie. But again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to hit us up in the comments. But with that said, this is the dish. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.